continues. Once again, Diane Sawyer.
Come with us now into a world where violence rules and those who object are silenced. A few months ago, on Prime Time, we showed you what it was like inside a female gang in Los Angeles. Tonight, the leader of one of the most dangerous male gangs in the country, the Latin Kings, takes us into his life. For 6 months, we gave gang members cameras and told them to give us back their portrait of the reality of the hidden world inside. We warn you now, it contains some graphic language, as John Quinones leads us toward the mean streets of the Latin Kings.
Afraid of us, you know this ain't a game to us. You strange to us, that's when we getting dangerous. Come on.
They're among the most notorious, most feared gang members on the streets of New York. The Latin Kings, in the eyes of authorities, a criminal organization bent on murder, drug dealing, extortion. This is their leader.
You challenging me, man? Come on. You're challenging me, man.
King Tone, the so-called Inca, or leader of the Latin King nation.
I ain't fighting you because I'm scared, poet. I ain't fighting you because I'm the Inca of New York State, supreme crown of this nation. I ain't fighting you because when my hands lift up, it's for war. It's for people to die and nobody to live.
An encounter between the Inca and a challenger to his crown. You would expect it to end in a shooting or a stabbing.
There's big men behind me, and there's brothers that I can put to fight you, and there's brothers that are your size, I can make them go one-on-one, like you told me you were gonna do.
But not today, not with this king.
And I won't do it to you because I love you.
I love you. Not exactly the fighting words of a famously macho Latin king. Then again, King Tone is not your typical gang leader.
If you think you're gonna kill your way to the top, you're a fool. But now if you think your way to the top, and you use the knowledge and the wisdom that God gave you, there's no telling where this nation could go.
It's the last thing you'd expect to hear from a man authorities call a public menace.
You got this image of this, gang leader, tough, badass. Who really is Tone?
I think Tone is a good, loving, God-fearing man, but also very strong and believes in discipline.
His name is Antonio Fernandez, 31 years old, and he knows all about death, judges, and jails. A former drug addict and convict, he's part street philosopher, part ghetto minister. His congregation meets in a borrowed church, 1,000 young men and women of the barrio who practice their own religion, Kingism.
And the name of that nation is the Almighty Latin King and Queen Nation.
Amor del Rey, they chant, love of the king. Tone grew up on the streets of Brooklyn, the third child in a working-class family. He took pride in being an altar boy and even played Little League baseball. But that bright smile started to fade as Antonio watched his father, a delivery man, struggle to support his family.
It was hard to see him kill himself for pennies and for nothing, and that's what made me so mad, He worked so hard and still, every week, he was just making ends meet.
By the age of 13, Antonio dropped out of school, shutting his eyes, watching his world shrivel at the end of a crack pipe.
From the cradle to the grave. These were what we called crack houses and spots, and these used to be full with people just coming and copping, and I remember when these little lots used to be my world.
King Tone, guiding us across a field of broken dreams, video camera in hand.
You see the little hole there? Usually the crackheads and us, we used to go in through there, hide in the bushes, and do our little hit. You know what I'm saying? Where the world couldn't see us, our getaway, our own little jungle.
Drug dealing, the fast track, easy money and status, if you were man enough to earn it.
It's a different world up in those projects, man. You gotta be good with your hands, you gotta be good with your gun, you gotta be good with your mouth. We used to go up in there coming out on fire, man. Most of the guys I used to hang out with in these places are either dead or in jail.
You better realize this till the day that you die. Survival of the
And that's exactly where Tone wound up, behind bars at 16 for selling drugs. He met the Latin Kings in New York's Rikers Island jail and was impressed by their sense of fraternity and family.
I noticed that these guys used to love each other, they used to hug each other. I said, man, there's a joy they got that I would like to have.
Let me put you on your feet and show you what's it all about. The street life.
But the Kings were also viciously violent. Tone's predecessor, King Blood, was sentenced to life in solitary confinement for a string of murders.
Sticking up the stick up kids, stick up kids, stick up kids.
Winning Blood's respect meant carrying out his brutal orders. Tone did it so well that Blood passed him the crown, anointing him the new leader of the Latin Kings. But by the time he left prison, Tone says he'd seen enough of the violence of gangbanging. He decided the Kings should make peace, not war.
The Kings don't want to shoot back. We don't want to come here and cause a war. We want to save these streets. We want to save the projects. We want to fill them with love, not with hate.
A God-fearing, peace-loving, compassionate Latin king. It doesn't seem to fit the picture.
Well, it doesn't fit the picture because society says it's not supposed to.
The Latin Kings are the same old gang that they've always been.
Howard Safer, the police commissioner for New York City, says as far as he's concerned, the Latin Kings' so-called turnaround is nothing more than a publicity stunt.
We've had 87 incidents since last July involving assaults, narcotic trafficking, homicides. I don't see any indication that the Latin Kings are anything other than a group of thugs.
So what are the Latin Kings really up to? We gave video cameras not only to Tone, but also to his inner circle. For 6 months, we got an extraordinary inside look at one of America's most secretive gangs. It's a life on the run.
Yeah, we need to speak.
The streets are Tone's office, and most of the time his home. On this night, he visits a street corner in Brooklyn where Tone has heard some kings are selling drugs.
What you're doing out here is right. You gotta live, but so does the nation. All right? And we ain't got time for your bull of coming around here and pressing these people with little gangsters. Because this isn't what we do anymore. We don't come around and sling and bang and do the youngsters like that. You going to school?
Next stop, a subway station.